Hi, today let's do some meta learning. I'll show you my framework for analyzing and then mimicking different kind of looks from videos, films or photography. And again, this is going to be a two-part tutorial. On this first one, we're going to talk about stuff that happens on set, and on the second one, we're going to talk about what happens in post. I'm going to upload the second video in a couple of days, so subscribe, or if I've already done it and you're in the future, just click here to see that right away. So first, let me introduce you to this framework, and then let's do a couple of analysis of one movie and one TV series that I really like. But a word of warning before we start. Even though I act as a professional here on YouTube, I've never attended a day of film school. So this is basically me learning and teaching you at the same time. So let's start. Okay, at the computer, I have built a mind map. This is a free mind software, open source software for creating mind maps. And I like to create mind maps whenever I try to get something out of my head. And as I said, this is a two-part tutorial. Now we're gonna talk about stuff that happens on set, but next time we're gonna talk about stuff that happens in post. So let's quickly go through the elements that I kind of go through when I'm analyzing a look or trying to mimic a look. First of all is design, and this is basically quite a big part. So it means the location, ambient light, clothing, props, color scheme, whatever you have designed to be in front of your camera. And then the second part is light and lighting, and when we're thinking about this is what is the white balance or the color of the light, what is the intensity, is it soft or hard, what is the direction, and what is the motivation. Composition is a big part as well. So basically when I'm analyzing the composition, I think about what's in the foreground, what's in the background, what is framing the subject, what kind of patterns do I see, what is the focal point in the frame, what kind of lines or what kind of perspective do I see. Then the next part is filters. Can I see or can I notice that there's some filters being used when creating a certain look? And then of course lenses. Lens is a big part of the look. And when we're talking about lenses, we have to consider a technical part and the character of the lens. I would say like the creative side of the lens. But let's talk about technical first. So is the lens a telelens or is it wide lens? Because that really affects the look. What is the bokeh, how much and what kind of bokeh it has, and what is the speed of the lens? Because speed allows you to, for example, get away with much less lighting. Okay, and then the character. So the character of the lens, the creative side of the lens. For example, anamorphic lenses were in the past, in the time of film, they were used to get that kind of cinemascope like wide aspect ratio. But these days, anamorphic lenses or anamorphic adapters are used just for the character that it gives to the film, the look. Then chromatic aberrations means it's kind of color fringing on the edge of the frames, and then the softness or sharpness and what kind of vignette does the lens give. And then the last block is the camera. And when we're talking about the camera, and we have to consider that it's not always, cameras don't always have a sensor, they might have film stock inside them. So what is the dynamic range of the camera or the film? How good is the camera at capturing color? What is the size of the pixel in digital cameras? Because that affects the sharpness and the sensitivity of the camera. And of course other things that might affect the sensitivity of the camera. So these things to consider. Then the profile, and this is for digital cameras. And then the codec. And here simply chroma subsampling means how much resolution does the color channel have. Compression means basically how much compression artifacts you have. And bit depth means how many individual shades of colors you have. Okay, so these are the elements, or these are the building blocks of the look. Then let's analyze something. I'll put this framework to use. I have two examples. The first is Stanley Kubrick's Barry Lyndon from the 70s, a feature film, and the second one is a Netflix series called The Master of None. I really like the look of these two, and they are kind of similar. You will understand in a bit. So let's start with the Barry Lyndon. This movie was DP'd by John Alcott, and it's basically an epic costume drama. Locations, or the design of the movie was that they were able to shoot in this authentic location. And that was possible because they did some clever lighting and used some special lenses. And when it comes to lighting, they were mostly using natural light. Or if they added light, they placed the light outside, mimicking natural light coming in. And that gave this movie this kind of very realistic feel. And when it comes to composition, you can really see that Kubrick took his influence from paintings. And you basically can take whatever frame from this movie and just print it and put it on your wall and it would look good. This movie is kind of like a moving version of a painting. I don't know if they used any filters, but to get the same look, I would need to add some filters to get that gorgeous glow on the highlights and maybe some other filter to make the image more soft. And then the lenses, these are interesting. Kubrick was able to get his hands on these size 50mm 07 lenses that were built for NASA. Superfast lenses gave them the opportunity to shoot basically without any light. For example, these scenes with only candlelight. And this gave the movie again this very warm, very realistic, dreamy look. And then the camera. I don't know which camera they used, and it's not as important than the film stock that they used. They used this Eastman film stock that had a high dynamic range, just like painting, so you can really see the blue of the sky and you can see into the shadows. Okay, then next let's analyze this another example, the TV series or the Netflix series Master of None. I really like this look, so let's dive into that. The cinematographer of this series was Mark Schwartzbart, and I read this one article about it. You can find a link to it below. So the information that I'm telling you is from that article. So the plot of this series is based in New York, and most of the scenes happen in New York, and they shot most of the scenes in real bars and in real restaurants. Again, this is a bit similar to the last example where they used authentic locations. Mark Schwartzbart said in the article that when they were choosing the locations, they tried to find locations that didn't need that much lighting, so they didn't have to light everything from the ground up. Instead, they mostly just block out outside light and added very soft light. You can see that the light in these scenes, in these images, is very soft, and they used China balls and these makeshift book lights to light the scene. And when it comes to filters, they must have used a couple different filters. First of all, I think they used polarizing filters in most of these scenes, because you see very little reflections on the skin. So there's no spectral highlights on the skin, and in this one scene you don't even see a reflection on the water. They probably used polarizing filters a lot. And then in a couple of scenes you see that there's a nice glow to the highlights, so they probably used some kind of pro mist filters there as well. The main lens of this series was Cooke 18 to 100mm. I just looked up, it's about $10,000 if you want to buy it new. You could probably get away with some modern glass as well. And according to the article, they used the lenses at t4, so basically having the f-stop at about around 3.5. And then the camera. This was shot on VariCam 35. That is actually the same team behind the VariCam that is behind the GH5. It's the same company, and now there's the same team working on these two. And both of these cameras, the GH5, this one, and the VariCam, both shoot vlog. So that gets me thinking, maybe I could emulate this look with GH5 rather easily. So to mimic the look of this series, I would need to shoot in authentic locations and then use a lot of China balls and book lights to get very soft light. Add a couple of filters, probably a polarizing filter and some kind of pro mist filter in front of my camera. And have a very sensitive camera because the VariCam's native ISO is 5000. Though they didn't have so fast lenses, so maybe let me think. Could I emulate this look with a less sensitive camera like GH5 with some faster lenses? Out of interest, let's make a quick calculation. Could I shoot similar indoor scenes with a less sensitive camera, for example this GH5? Here I have an online exposure calculator, and on the left I have the settings that they use for the VariCam, and on the right I shall place settings that I can achieve with my cameras and my lenses. And let's calculate the ISO, like what should the ISO be to get the same exposure, and apparently it's 800 ISO, so basically yes, I could achieve the same look with the GH5 when it comes to exposing for the indoor scenes. If you would be interested in me doing a video about it, how to emulate the look of the Master of None with the GH5, tell me in the comments, and maybe in the future I will do that episode. Okay, so there we have it, the end of the first part of this tutorial. If you are interested, you can download this mind map of mine by joining my Facebook Messenger list. I have a download vault there that I upload everything that I create in these videos. And talking about the Facebook Messenger list, I have had very interesting conversations with a couple of you guys there, and thank you for your feedback and questions. I've gotten really good ideas for the future content, so join the list and download this map. The link is in the description. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye.